Welcome to yet another Sigma Life Hangout. Today, we're outside, boiling hot outside, by the pool thankfully at Palm Beach Hotel in Larnaca. Our company today is quite special. It's going to work for us, or for our figure, let's say, and our health. Tanja Bastian, hello, welcome.
Hello.
How are you coping with the heat?
It's warm. I have a fan here every time.
A Cypriot-inspired fan. It looks like a lefkaritico, the traditional thing that we do up in the mountains.
It is hot today, admittedly. Hence, we've got our sunglasses on, so we're not squinting too much as well. So
we want to look the part as well.
Exactly.
Being comfortable and casual in the boiling hot sun. Perfect summer weather for anyone that wants to come for holiday in Cyprus.
Beautiful weather, beautiful. Not a cloud in the sky. It's amazing.
Beautiful weather and beautiful cuisine, because that's why we have you here in Cyprus. I tend to say to people that, hey, I'm meeting up with Tanja Bastian, you know, the gastronomic ambassador of Cyprus.
I like that title. It's nice.
Well, you are, because you go around the world. Well, your base is in the UK.
Yeah.
But your products, let's say, your voice is heard internationally, and your voice speaks up for Cyprus and Cyprus cuisine.
Yeah, I'm really proud of being Cypriot, and I seriously do think that Cypriot cuisine is one of the best in the world. I think we've got the best ingredients, and what we do with those ingredients is amazing. And specifically, actually, what our yayades, our grandparents, did with those ingredients is amazing, and it needs to be brought back up again.
So you feel that we've kind of lost our way from the traditional kitchen and the natural traditional ingredients, moving into the 21st century, and we need to go back?
I think my issues are with this. I think we've got the best ingredients. I don't think you have to stay with traditional recipes, because there's nothing wrong with those, but the fasolia, the beans, the greens, the pulses that our grandmothers did were amazing, and they will never cease to be amazing. But what's happened in Cyprus now is that it's become very meat orientated. So that's what I'm not crazy about. I think we should keep our fantastic ingredients and maybe come up with new recipes using them.
Modernize our cuisine.
Modernize our cuisine, but not so meat orientated. Now everyone, you say, what is Cypriot food? And they say souvlaki or souvla. And you think that's not Cypriot food,
and
actually.
ofto as well.
And ofto there. That's not really Cypriot food. Cypriot food is fasoles and guchar, Eftyhia, all these beautiful pulses that we do, fish in abundance, we are an island, going back to that type of cuisine.
But we do throw out there some great words. I'm not sure if the viewers know what fasolia and guchar
Okay,
is.
so broad beans and cannellini beans and chickpeas, using these as a base for fantastically flavoured stews that have celery and cinnamon and coriander and some really delicious dishes.
You've been trying to modernize and educate people around the Cypriot cuisine for years now. What urged you to go into that direction? Because young people, and especially into culinary studies and the art of the kitchen, because it's an art form, how did you decide to orient yourself towards that? We see people trying to get Michelin stars, doing amazing dishes and lush meats, and reinventing traditional or mainstream recipes. How did you decide to move away from that and focus on tradition?
I'm a naturopath in many things, and I really felt that I think there's a place for this exciting cuisine. Heston Blumenthal's one of my favourite chefs, and he's a molecular chef, and I love going to molecular restaurants and trying to eat their food and wondering how they do it. It's amazing. But for me, the beauty of food and what I love most of all is simplicity and good ingredients. And I felt that we all become a little bit too obsessed with the French cuisine, you know, the kind of choux pastry and fiddling with things. And I don't think eating needs to be like that. I'm a real believer of getting families to eat. I mean, if you want to go for a gastronomic experience and do something else, going out to try it, that's great. But I think the hardest type of cooking to do is that everyday cooking that you do for yourself or a mother does for her children. And I think that's the cooking that you should be most proud of and should actually take a lot more credit than it does, because that's the hardest cooking. I love cooking for dinner parties. You know, my friends are coming round and I've got all day to cook and I do something like that. The one that's challenging is after a hard day's work, cooking for my family and making sure it's something that they enjoy. So I wanted to give some focus onto that and to show appreciation for that and to come up with simple recipes that people could do easily themselves at home.
So you've written a couple of books, let's say, on Cypriot cuisine, and you're focusing exactly on that, how to cook easy recipes for your family that will be enjoyable but healthy and economic as well.
I mean, I always say my answer to things is buy the best that you can afford. So, you know, if you can afford to buy an organic chicken, then buy organic chicken. If you can't, maybe then buy a free-range chicken. And if you can only buy the hormone-fed cheap chickens, maybe don't have chicken. That would be my advice. You know, I think that you should be very careful with the ingredients you buy and what you eat. You should do your best not to be eating pesticides and fertilizers and hormones in food. I know it's difficult because it's expensive, but it takes a little bit more thought. That's the difference. You know, when you're doing that, you have to think a little bit more about what you're eating. But once you've got into that mindset, you tend to make better choices for yourself.
I think we're living, well, I don't think it's a given, we're living in an age where obesity is an epidemic now. And people find it too expensive to eat healthy, and they're finding it too fussy to cook healthy, and they're finding it too time consuming to cook their meals themselves. How is the Cypriot kitchen an answer to all that? How do we convince people to get the chickpeas and boil them and let them sit in water and wait for them while you need to take care of the children, and maybe at the same time make the tomato sauce, and maybe at the same time have some on the side for those chickpeas? And how do you get children to eat legumes and pulses? And
so the
it's
first,
not easy.
It's not easy.
Even if you have the best of intentions to do it, even if you're willing to put in the time, the money, the effort, it's not easy to get people and children that are living in the age of obesity to eat healthy and not just pick up something takeaway or something that's visually appealing or it's loaded with salt and spices, and that's just easy.
So I'm going to answer your question in two phases. No, it's not easy. Who said it was easy? When is life easy? When is anything that's worth doing easy? And so suck it up is my answer to that. You know, I have 4.
Suck it up and not in.
I have 4 children and I work and I have to pick up and do the school run and I have to juggle 1,000 things, and if I manage to do it, and I'm not saying I do everything well, a lot of the time it's chaos around me. My life is chaos, but I do as best I can. At least I choose the things I think are important to spend time on, and feeding your children right is one of them. A lot of the time on Sundays, my Sunday is not spent relaxing. My Sunday is spent baking healthy cakes that are going to last throughout the week. Sometimes I double bake them so they become biscuits, so we've got something healthy to eat throughout the week. Sometimes I make a big pot of tomato sauce because it's a great base for homemade pizzas or for chickpea stews or for pasta or for meat or whatever. I make a big one up. You have to get organised. And yes, it does encroach on your liberty, but it's one of the few things that are actually worth it. You know, it's worth it.
For your children and yourself.
For yourself. It's one of the things that are worth it. To just do it. You know, give yourself, it is hard. No one thanks you really, but it's worth it. When it comes to feeding fussy children, that is really hard. My youngest son, Zeno, is the fussiest child there is. And I go to sleep at night worrying about what he eats, and I wake up in the morning worrying about what I'm going to get him to eat. I make keftedes, and in the keftedes,
which is meatballs.
Which is meatballs, but I don't make them the traditional way. I blitz blitz broccoli, so it's tiny pieces, and I chop onion and garlic and make it tiny so you can't recognize it, and blitz it up, and I make them into patties and I bake them in the oven. I don't fry them. That's a lot longer. It's a bit harder to do than the normal ones, but I do it because at least I then know he's got some greens that are going into his tummy, which is really important. So it isn't easy. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm absolutely not saying I get it right. Most of the time I get it terribly wrong, but I'm trying. You know, that's what it is. And I think everyone at least needs to make the effort. Just try a bit harder, not say, oh, I can't do it and that's the end of it. Make an effort.
And it's not just keeping the children healthy. we have a responsibility keeping ourselves healthy for our children.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what the new book you have out is for. Eat Greek for a week. Well, eat Greek Cypriot for a week to keep your health. Fabulous food that will improve your health in just 7 days.
Okay, so just take that last 7-day bit out because I don't agree with that. When I say eat Greek for a week, I mean eat Greek forever. I think that's the point, that it's about changing the way you eat. It's about making sure that you start from scratch and cook from fresh. That's the most important part. What people do, especially in Britain, where this book has really, really taken off, is that they tend to think that they're doing that by buying marinated chicken breasts. They think, well, I'm being healthy, it's chicken breast, it's marinated, let's do
in
that.
In what and for how long?
Exactly. It's in what? It's normally got sugars, it's got additives, it's got preservatives. Just if you just get a little bit more organised and take that chicken, buy that chicken breast the night before, and you marinate it with some olive oil, some garlic, some lemon juice, maybe some ground coriander. If you like spice, put some chopped fresh chilli in. It's marinated. The next day, all you need to do is put it in the oven or pan fry it, and it's delicious. You don't need to buy it pre-marinated. It's just about techniques and tips, and it's all about eating food that are going to make you well. So things like cinnamon, for example. Cinnamon is my favourite spice. I put it in everything.
I love
Sweet or savoury.
I put cinnamon on avolemoni.
Yes, so do I. So do I. I really love it in everything.
But for those who are watching, avolemoni is a traditional
chicken lemon soup.
Yeah, and it usually goes with salt and pepper and not cinnamon.
Yeah. But cinnamon has a place because it has chromium in it. And chromium is a blood sugar regulator. So if you have cinnamon in your food, it slowly releases the energy and it stops you from getting sugar spikes. Yeah. So, and there's turmeric, for example, which there's a lot of food in there, which is a yellow spice that the Asians use a lot, but now Cypriots and Greeks are using as well, which is anti-inflammatory, and it means that inflammation is one of the biggest causes of disease. So when your fingers are aching or your shoulders are aching, it's normally some sort of inflammation, and turmeric helps bring that down. So you're eating delicious food, but it's also doing you good.
Your books are really successful. All the books that you put out so far, I know because I have almost all of them. Now I do have all of them.
Yeah.
But your TV shows are quite successful as well. They're shown around the world. They've put Cyprus and Cypriot cuisine on the map. I said before that I consider you a culinary ambassador of Cyprus. Do you feel that way? Do you feel that you're putting Cyprus on the international map?
I can't tell you, of all the things I do and the different jobs that I do, I'm really very proud of this. I have been to countries where, previous to watching my Cypriot kitchen or my Greek kitchen, they had no idea where Cyprus was. They didn't know Cyprus existed. In New Zealand, they know Greece. In Mexico, they know Greece. They know Greca, but they don't know Chipre. They don't know Cyprus. So I'm so proud that my shows have taken Cyprus to the world. It is the sole thing that I'm really proud of when it comes to my television career. And I take the responsibility really seriously, because I think Cyprus is a beautiful land with beautiful people, and I think we need to look after it a little bit more and promote it a little bit more.
And you're not just saying that. I mean, you don't live in the UK and you remember Cyprus the way it used to be and what your parents lived in Cyprus was like. You come to Cyprus every single year. You spend time here, you spend time with the locals. You get to know every time the updated versions of Cyprus, and that's what you put out. People believe what you're saying because you know what you're saying, you live what you're saying.
I come to Cyprus, I come every year with my family. We come for at least a month with the kids and Paul and my husband, and it's lovely. But I also come at least 4 or 5 times for work as well, and I do some research, and I'm constantly updating what's going on in Cyprus. And I think, like in Nicosia at the moment, in the old town, I think it's so exciting what's going on there. Young people opening cafes and art galleries and food that has a different inspiration. It's always got a Cypriot edge to it, but it's inspired differently, and I love all of that.
I love how all these new restaurants and bistros that have opened, all of them have, for starters, halloumi with a different version. I love that. It's utterly Cypriot, it's utterly traditional, and they always find a way to change it up, but it's always there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and taking our produce, for example, halloumi is really paving its way. In most supermarkets now, people know what halloumi is and they know how to eat it and whatever. It saddens me that our Ministry of Commerce or Industry, whoever it should be, is not helping promote some of the other fantastic things that we have in Cyprus. Gumandaria is the best sweet wine there is. It's non-fortified, it's the oldest appellation wine, it has amazing history and flavour to it. When I've gone to sommelier events where there's Italians and French and all these winemakers, and I give them blind tasting of Gumandaria, they all love it. I mean, if it's the last thing I do, I would like to get Gumandaria out there. I would like everyone to know Gumandaria like they know halloumi. And I also think things like Parma ham, for example, was nothing, but the Italians decided to make it into a product. We've got hiromeri, finely sliced hiromeri with that beautiful aroma. That should be sold globally and be associated only with Cyprus. There are so many things that we have as products here that we could be promoting Cyprus through food globally. It frustrates me, but I will continue to try and get it out there.
Yeah. Promoting the products outside means that we get tourism inside Cyprus as well, because we have wineries that you can see how Gumandaria is made. You can get involved in the process.
Absolutely.
You can go to the panegyria and the fest, the traditional feast that show you how they make things and sell them hanging around everywhere, which is so lovely and nice. And so Cypriot in a sense, and that's where the panegyria is where the Cypriots become Cypriots again, because we've seen that Cyprus and Cypriots have moved on into the 21st century.
Yeah. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way.
But the panegyria always bring them back.
Back, exactly. Yes, I love that. I had a fantastic time when I was filming one of the shows. My husband has family in Askas up in the mountains. And it was late September, and his great aunt was showing me how to make shujuko, and we made shujuko on her balcony, and it was like one of my favorite experiences in the whole filming was to do something like that, because it was just amazing to do these traditions. But what broke my heart was that she has, I don't know, 8 children. And she was saying that, because I was saying, do they all want to learn how to make shujuko, do they help you? And she said, unfortunately no. They're not interested in learning to keep these traditional things going. They're more likely to want to just go and buy it. And that broke my heart. Somewhere along the line, we need to re-energize these traditional pursuits and get the young people interested in doing them again. And if we start promoting them globally, and they become sexy, as you know, as they do with all these other foreign products, then that will do it. That's the way of getting the young people involved.
And you chip into that because you're a young person, you're visually appealing, and people relate to you because they see a young, beautiful, hip person can cook and will cook stuff like that, traditional food. Why can't I? That wouldn't take away from my youthfulness or my hipness or whatever.
Actually, it's really cool to cook. I don't know if it's come yet to Cyprus, but in America and Britain, it's really cool to cook. That's what people do, and in the 80s it was really big. When I was kind of growing up, we all did dinner parties, and then it lost its way. Everyone got into fast food. But now my daughter's 19, my eldest daughter. She often does dinner parties, and you know everyone cooks something, and it's become cool again. So that's quite interesting, and I'd like to see it happening in Cyprus more as well.
I could talk to you for hours and hours, but it's getting too hot to think and pronounce.
Hot, melting.
We are. So just to close this up, what would you say to people watching us now, 12 years, non-Greek speakers, probably Greek Cypriots, but foreigners as well? What would you tell them about Cyprus and Cypriot cuisine?
That it's the best in the world, that they should come and try it, and once they've tried it, they should cook it at home.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to the next time. There definitely must be next time. Definitely. I don't know if it's going to be on camera or in the kitchen, privately. Thank you so much. Have a lovely holiday.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.